Welcome to Bet On It. I am Kelly Stewart, and it is bowl season in college football. Let's bring in Marco D'Angelo and Joe Raineri. Guys, we've got a lot of stuff to kind of sift through, if you will. Used to be, we had to worry about guys opting out from the NFL. Now we've got guys transferring. We've got interim head coaches. Marco, I'm going to go to you first. Before we get into the Fenway Park Bowl, tell me how you're going to navigate this bowl season.
Well, Kelly, we always tell you that you want to get the best number. And the problem with that is to get the best number, you got to bet early. And you're really walking a fine line when you're betting early in these college bowl games, as guys constantly are opting out, as you said, going into the transfer portal. Some of them say they're still available. Some of them are not. And you really got to obtain all of the information that you possibly can to make an educated wager. Now, with that said, the early bowl games, to me, I'm very selective with them, and we've done well in the bowls. Last year, I went 13-4. What was there, like 40-some bowls? I made 17 wagers. The reason for that is because you got to not only handicap X's and O's, who's on the field, but that big equalizer in bowl games. Who's motivated? Who wants to be there? That's the problem, because these early bowls, the first week.
Really quick, I've got a phone call. They say they're the math guys, and they want to know how you quantify motivation.
It's the same way as we figure out sandwich games and everything else. It's something that's above their pay grade. I'm sorry. They only understand numbers. But motivation is a big, big factor in the college bowls. More so in the early bowls than the later bowls, because obviously the later bowls are going to consist of the playoffs and the big bowls, New Year's Day, the Rose Bowl, those type of things, whether it has national championship implications or not, teams get up for those. But these small bowls, Kelly, let's face it, we got a bowl game here in Vegas, the Las Vegas Bowl. Do you think either one of these teams woke up that last Saturday in August and dreamed of playing in the Las Vegas Bowl or the Fenway Bowl? No, they didn't. So some are going to be happy to be here, some are not. It's up to you to sniff that out. One of the things you can do is check out, you'll read comments from beat writers and stuff as far as ticket sales. Who's traveling well? Now, that's kind of a misleading one with the Las Vegas Bowl, because at least if you come to the Las Vegas Bowl, I know Joe would like it, you can eat well all weekend. You get to gamble. You get to catch a show if you're bringing the wife along for entertainment. And then, of course, you get a bowl game. And if you're lucky enough, you can hang around and watch a football game with New England in the raid. Nah, I don't think so.
No.
That sounds absolutely awful. Marco, you better be careful, though. I don't want you getting canceled thinking that the wives don't want to go to the bowl games. I'm not a wife, and I do like to go to the bowl games. Joe, Mr. Gigglebox over there, apparently liked the math guys. Question, I don't know if we're going to get another one of them between now and the end of the season, but Joe, talk to me about how you're going to sift through this cesspool that is bowl season. I mean, we're hearing even guys from Ohio State might be opting out, and they're in the freaking college football playoff.
Yeah. And you've got all sorts of it's such a weird thing now with the transfer portal. And you even have, Kelly, you have some situations where the quarterback from Coastal Carolina he's like, I'm out of here, but hey, I'm going to play in the bowl game. Wait, what do you mean you're out of here and you're going to play in the bowl? So you've got to pay attention to who is actually going to be there, who's not. Marco talked about motivation. It's actually taken me longer to pull the trigger on bowl games this year because I don't want to hop on a team and then find out 48, 72 hours later, like none of the guys that I thought would be playing in this are going to play it. So the information changes much more often than it has in years past. So just do your homework. I don't think you have to be in a rush one way or the other to get your action in on these bowl games. I'd rather be sure I know what the parameters are here and what's going on in a game as opposed to trying to play it super early because I like the number and ultimately find out the number doesn't mean anything because half the people you thought are playing aren't going to be playing. So take your time, do your homework this year as opposed to just throwing enough shit against the wall and see what sticks. There are some great bowl games with some great edges because we pretty much know who's going to be in those bowl games and what the motivation is. I would say, 60% of these games, good luck. Let's see how it rolls out.
Yeah, somebody who notoriously plays in several bowl, what's the right word? Contests, I guess, if you will, online with my friends. I was pretty nauseated having to submit some of those picks because it really was like throwing a dart last night, including the 6.5 I have in pocket with the good old Purdue Boilermakers. Thank you to Jeff Brom for leaving after I made my wager. We'll see if that one somehow works out for me, but let's get started. Fenway Park Bowl, Saturday, December 17th, ESPN, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific. I hope you guys aren't too hungover out there on the West Coast. Louisville is a 1-point favorite over Cincinnati, total 41.5. Marco D'Angelo, let's hear what you got to say.
Well, Kelly, we tried to pick the best games to preview for these early bowl games, and on paper, this looks like one of them. But my question is here, and other than this being a geographical rivalry between Louisville and Cincinnati, again, I got to try to figure out where the motivation comes from. And I'm going to look squarely at Cincinnati, and that's what's going to base my play here. Is it a play that I'll actually get to the window? We'll wait and see on the weekend. But I'm looking to fade Cincinnati. And here's why. This is a team that last year was in the national playoffs. Okay, they got smacked, but they made it. They crashed the party. Now they're playing in the Fenway Bowl. Okay, so that in itself is something that I look at. Teams that had big bowls last year and are stepping way down in class this year, that's a negative for me. Then you throw in, if that wasn't enough, you got people opting out, and you got your coach opted out. Your coach is taking a job somewhere else. So the combination of this being, crappy bowl compared to what they played in last year. And the other thing I like to look at when you're doing motivation, and this is something you can quantify, teams that played in their national or their conference championship game and lost, that's even more disappointment because let's face it, Cincinnati didn't think coming back this year when their quarterback went to the NFL that they had any visions of grandeur of playing for a national playoff this year. So I think the real goal would have been, hey, win your conference, get to the best bowl because of your conference affiliation or whatever. And that didn't happen. They lost in the championship game to Tulane. So those are the kind of things that I look at when I'm looking to try to go with or go against. So I'm strictly going against Cincinnati in this game and not necessarily going with Louisville. And I've got it as Louisville 24-17. That is my lean on this one, Kelly. But it's far from a best bet.
Yeah, unfortunately, this is part of the best bet segment for me, but I'm not sure I'm going to get there with my hard-earned money, but I did play a team in my bowl pools. Joe, do you have anything else to add to this? Because this is not a great game from really either side.
Who asked for this game? The Fenway Bowl. Honestly, who thought, what would be great? Let's, 10 a.m. let's go to the Fenway. This is crap on top of crap here. First of all, you're talking about the Louisville coach who is now taking the job on the other sideline with Cincinnati. So Satterfield's now the Cincinnati head coach. And all the guys that are actually coaching in this game for Louisville, he plans on taking them with him to Cincinnati. Then you've got Brom. Fickle's already gone, right? So now Cincinnati's like, wow, this is great. Now Louisville's like, all right, let's go ahead and bring Jeff Brom in. So now we've got no coaches. We've got question marks across the board with quarterbacks. We know Malik Cunningham's not going to play. We know most of the guys on both sides of the ball probably have no interest in playing in this game. And there's a nor'easter scheduled, guys, in Boston, in the Northeast corridor for this weekend, which means temperatures in the teens with a whole lot of wind and disgustingness. I don't want nothing to do with this game, but Cal, you know me, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Look at the conditions, look at the situation. This number has been falling from 45. I think it's at 40 right now. If you were lucky enough to get it, 45, 44, 43. Congratulations, it's at 40 right now, and I don't see how we're getting that many points given what we know about these two teams. And given the weather conditions at kickoff are going to be horrendous. It's under for me or nothing.
All right, under, and Marco says slight lean to Louisville. Well, I guess you're going to find out what you guys get from me on this one at the end of the show. We're going to kick it over, though, for some TNA with Ralph, because he's got to be able to help me here. This first week of bowl games. Woof. There's the man with the pin, Ralph Michaels, coming in hot. College football bowl games, TNA special. I love this for us, Ralph, because bowl season right now is kind of hard to navigate. We've got coaches changing teams. We've got the transfer portal going absolutely crazy. But I need some trends and data to back up a couple of these plays.
Well, again, it is a different way to handicap, and it has changed. You know, Dave Koch and I, we have a special that I'm going to mention in a second, have talked about how this year we're releasing plays later because of the transfer portal. We saw a lot of players opt out. We see a lot more this year, so it has changed. I do want to mention that any capper at Wager Talk is $149 for their bowl package. But Kelly, listen to these 5-year records. In bowls, I am 44-20, 68.7%. Dave Kochen, 45-22-1, 67.2%. And he's gone 19-6, 76% the last 2 years. If you go to my page or Dave's page, you're not paying $149 each. You're getting both of us for $199, just $99 each for my 68.7% 5-year bowl success and Mr. Dave Kochen's 5-year record that has produced 67.2% winners.
I love that for us at Wager Talk. Got some really solid set of handicappers that could be my dad. And that's why I love you guys so much. You guys are my dads of handicapping there, Ralph. Taught me so much over the years. So if you guys are not following Dave and Ralph, you are really missing out. And probably have a Purdue plus 6.5 in your pocket like me.
Yeah, well, you know, it's let's look at, first off, bowl double-digit dogs. Since 2012, if you blindly bet every double-digit bowl dog, you have won 61.9%, and 61% of those games have gone over the total. Bowl games are different. You don't have that same motivation to blow someone out. You probably went bowling with these kids, or you went to rodeos and you sat next to these opponents' teams. So I'm never going to say never, but it takes a hell of a lot for me to bet a bowl double-digit favorite. I am usually on the dog or pass. And if that double-digit dog is off a loss, those teams have covered 70% of the spread since 2011. So 62% blindly, 70% if they're coming off a loss. So I wanted to break down some situations, Kel, in systems 2 and 3. How do teams do if they're doing well into the bowl games? How do teams do if they're doing poorly into the bowl games? So let me break those down. If you have lost as an underdog back-to-back games, you've lost straight up. It doesn't matter if you've covered. You've been the inferior team. You've lost straight up. You have only covered 40.5%, and you've gone under the total 62%. So those bowl teams that have lost back-to-back games as dogs, Rice, Baylor, Coastal Carolina, Kansas, and Wyoming, those teams in a 40.5% ATS streak. So if I'm going to look at how teams do off back-to-back losses at dogs, what am I going to do next? I'm going to look at how bowl teams do off back-to-back wins, and they covered both games. So my guess would be if you lost back-to-back games as a dog and you're a negative, is it the opposite if you've won back-to-back games and covered both? Well, it's not. The ATS record is only 44.2%, but the total has changed. Those teams that have covered back-to-back games that won and covered have gone over the total 58%. If you lost as a dog back-to-back games, it's been an under situation. There's a slew of them. I'm not going to run through them. It's obvious, pretty easy for you to go through. So you win back-to-back games and you cover back-to-back games. You've covered 44.2% of the time, but you've gone over 58% of the time. I got 3 more that I want to mention to you. How do teams do after scoring 35 or more points in back-to-back games? Well, we have BYU, New Mexico State, Washington, Tennessee, and Penn State have all scored 35 or more points each of their last 2 games. How about a 27% ATS record? It's not a positive to have that high-flying offense coming into the bowls. Perhaps the layoff does hurt you. Those teams have covered 27.3%, but they have gone over the total 71.9%. So if you have teams with back-to-back games of 35-plus more points, it is a fade against the spread, but it has been an overplay. Those teams, again, BYU, New Mexico State, Washington, Tennessee, and Penn State. 2 more. You know me, Kelly. You know what's going to come up here, right? Teams off back-to-back games with 35 or more points. I'm going to look at the opposite. Teams that scored 17 or fewer points in back-to-back games. Guess what? They've been a positive. There's a lot of things that go against what you would expect in the bowls. Perhaps the defense that's prepping says, oh my God, this offense has really struggled. They've only scored 17 points in 2 straight games. And there's a letdown. Teams like Rice, Toledo, Wisconsin, Wyoming, and Iowa that have scored 17 or fewer points in back-to-back games have covered 66% against the spread. The over-under number is a 51% mark, so no effect in that. But again, 66% play on system, Rice, Toledo, Wisconsin, Wyoming, and Iowa. And if I have to share one system with you, Kel, and I say give this to your best friends, it has been an absolute moneymaker. It's easy to choose what teams there are, and it makes complete sense. This goes all the way back to 2008. So let me set up the scenario. Your team is 5-6. They're living on a prayer. You got to win your last game to get to a bowl game. Well, if you are a 6-6 team that won your last game and your opponent has more than 6 wins, like ULL and like Missouri, those teams have covered 69.4%. And the other reason it makes total sense to me, Kelly, is this. You have a 6-6 college football team. You are going to spend the entire offseason either being a winning football program at 7-6 or a losing football program at 6-7, a powerful, powerful motivator for that team that had to win their previous game to get into a bowl, and they're playing an opponent that is over 6 wins.
Man, if you guys ever wondered why Ralph is my favorite, now you know, giving me tons of insight and, of course, all of you guys into those bowl games. We're going to take a quick commercial break, but when we come back, it's time for the Las Vegas Bowl.
Do you want to bet this college football bowl season alongside Dave Koken and Ralph Michaels? Well, we have you covered. When you look among the list of our handicappers, some are known more for specific sports, and when you mention college football, two that jump out are Dave Koken and Ralph Michaels. Mr. Dave Koken has been the all-time profit leader in college football since he joined Wager Talk, and while the regular seasons have been profitable, his performance in the bowls have been even better, going 45-22-1. That's 67%. Ralph Michaels was a previous general manager of Phil Steele Publications, voting on all significant college football awards, including the Heisman Trophy, before joining Wager Talk. Ralph's run and bowl action has been stellar, going 44-20. That's 69%. Our bowl package price will be $199 with the $149 early bird. You can lock in Dave and Ralph's both for only $198, coming out to just $99 each. That's Dave's 68% and Ralph's 69% bowl records, including any 5% best bets released in bowl season for just $198. Access will cover any college football releases from the Bahama Bowl on Friday, December 16th, through the College Football Playoff National Championship game on Monday, January 9th, from both Ralph Michaels and Dave Koken, and include any 5% best bets. So act fast before pricing goes back to regular price.
Welcome back to Bet On It. Now for my favorite bowl, well, at least my favorite geographical location bowl, the Las Vegas Bowl, Florida versus Oregon State. Florida 10-point underdog, total 52.5, Saturday, ESPN, 2:30 Eastern. That's right, 11:30 a.m. kickoff in Las Vegas. Again, what Joe said. Whose idea was this? All right, Joe, I'm going to let you have the first word. Looks like half of Florida has opted out, including AR-15, the quarterback for the Gators. Billy Napier's got a lot of rebuilding to do, it sure looks like.
He's got a ton, but this number has gotten a little bit out of control in the double digit category now, 10 and 10.5 in this one. And listen, fifth straight bowl game for the University of Florida, the first with their new head coach, Billy Napier. And there are some interesting things going on here, dynamic. Number one, we got an SEC team, right, in Florida. So whether or not Richardson's there, it can be argued that maybe with Billy Napier's offense, he did a little more worse than what Florida might have needed. Now, they did get the former Ohio State quarterback, Jack Miller, to transfer, and he is the one that is going to be starting this game for Florida. This is a big old boy who can throw the rock around the yard. We know good old Richardson couldn't hit water if he fell out of a boat. He was not a great passer. This kid is, and more importantly, Billy Napier is going to have a month to prep him and get ready to go against an Oregon State team that, what a role here. They rattled off, 8 or 9 straight, I think, to end the year. They were a cover machine. I do think it's a fascinating situation with Napier 16-3-1 as an underdog. There's still a ton of talent on this Florida team, even though some of these guys have opted out this year. And I think the Jack Miller quarterback with a month to prepare is an unknown factor, certainly going to be unknown for Oregon State, which is why I want to take the points with Florida, Cal, in the first half of this game. We know what Oregon State's going to do. They're going to pound the rock, right? They're going to try to run the ball. That's what they do. Well, what happens if they don't have an awful lot of success? I do think some adjustments with Coach Smith there at Oregon State for the second half might level this out here a little bit, and then eventually Oregon State goes on to win this game. But I think this is going to be much closer at the half than some are anticipating. And a lot of it has to do with they're not going to know what they got in Jack Miller here, and Napier's got a month to prep them. I'm willing to take the 6.5 points here with Florida in the first half.
Marco, I agree with Joe here. I considered Florida as being my best bet for the show. I do have my concerns. Yes, absolutely still loaded with talent. But, man, the Beavers have made me so much money over the last 2 years. It's kind of hard to step in front of the train. But those money-making abilities have primarily came in the underdog role or the very short favorite role here. This is now a big ask, double digits over an SEC team. Your thoughts?
Yeah, Kelly, first glance, as I said, in these early bowls, generally the dogs are the way that you like to look because if there is a motivation question, the dog is getting those points. Oftentimes you'll get a big favorite that had higher aspirations and they land in this bowl. I don't think that's the case really with Oregon State. They got to be happy here. They're coming to Vegas. They're getting to play an SEC school. When have you ever seen a Pac-12 team lay double digits to an SEC team that wasn't named USC or UCLA? Come on. This is ridiculous as far as the line goes. They want you to bet Florida, in my opinion, and there are a lot of unknown factors, as Joe accounted for, but this is a team, let's be honest, Florida did not have a good defense this year, and I think Oregon State is going to have success running the football. They've had success running the football against everybody. And they are one of the more physical teams out of the Pac-12. There's very few of them, Utah being the other one definitely, that I think they can frustrate and stay with SEC team that doesn't have his full complement of players. I don't know who's going to be on both sides of the football, and we do have that question mark at quarterback. So for my play here, and I'm going to give you guys a second play. That'll be later in the show in the best bets. We're going to talk about the total. But for here, I like Oregon State. I think they'll be able to run the football, control the tempo. I've got it Oregon State 27-14. Not much off of that line as far as we're sitting at 10.5. But I lean to Oregon State, but I have a better play I like in this game, and I'll explain it in the best bet section.
Love that. That's what we're doing next. We're going to take a quick commercial break. Maybe hear from Marco Claus here in a second and go from there.
Have you checked out all the new handicappers at Wager Talk? If not, here's your chance. You can take 50% off your first daily or 3-day all-access purchase at Wager Talk using coupon code TRYWT. Our new roster of experts is 30 deep, covering sports from all around the world, giving you tons of options to choose from. All you have to do to redeem this offer is go to wagertalk.com, choose a handicapper of your choice, and use coupon code TRYWT at checkout, saving 50% on your first purchase.
Welcome back, and this is a reluctant best bet because Marco made me pick one here, and this is tough. As he mentioned, you got to be really careful navigating these early bowls, but we all know I follow a lot of these Power 5 teams, and typically right now what we're seeing is teams like Troy playing in bowl games, and I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I follow these teams all season long, but one of the teams that I did follow was the Cincinnati Bearcats. Yes, as Joe mentioned, Luke Fickell is gone. Yes, Satterfield is in, but not yet, just for recruiting purposes. I believe it is going to be Kerry Coombs, if that's right. We know defensive coordinator Mike Tressel's gone. He's already going with Luke Fickell to Wisconsin. So, of course, the Bearcats are going to be very thin. But the big difference maker here for me and why I like the Bearcats plus the 1 is no Malik Cunningham. This Louisville team, I've been on them in a couple of spots. I've been against them in a couple of spots. But if he is not playing like everybody is saying, this is going to be a big difference here. Cardinals have had a couple of solid moments on defense, a couple of forced fumbles and an interception or two as of late. But I like the Cincinnati team. I think they are the better of the two teams. And by all means, I'm going to need them to stay focused on the prize because lately they have just been 1-6 against the spread in their last 8 games. As I said, reluctant, but I did take them in my pools. And as Marco said, looking towards the underdogs early. And this one looks like it's begging for you to take Louisville. Marco Claus, you have the floor.
All right, Kelly, before I get my best bet, we actually have a special for everybody. It's Christmas time, and we're offering my plays for 30 days, guys. It's an all-access package. It's $2.99. Oh, look at that good-looking Santa. $2.99. You get $100 off when you use coupon code MD199. That's MD199. You'll get 30 days for $199. And guys, a 30-day package is going to encompass all of the bowl games, even these early crappy ones and the good ones late. And last year during the bowls, we went 13-4 with our bowl selections. And guys, we have been on a tear. We've won 15 of the last 18 days and going 43-22 during that period, netting our clients just under $6,500. We're looking forward to another strong holiday season. Join me for $199. Now, for my best bet, we're going to go back to that Florida-Oregon State game. And I talked about the running. And with that said, I'm going to look to the under. But I'm going to look for the first half. And the reason being is, yes, these teams had a month to prepare. But also, during that month, you get a little rusty as well. So I'm looking for a slower start. And the fact that both teams, I think, are going to want to establish the run. And why wouldn't they? Florida is number 15 in the country at 214 yards per game on the ground. They're number 3 at yards per play on the ground at 6.0. And they're facing an Oregon State team that's 27th in yards on the ground, 200. And they're 32nd at yards per play at 5. I think you're going to see a ton of running in this game and trying to establish momentum early and not have the turnovers. With that said, I'm ripping a page out of the Joe Raineri playbook. I'm going under first half. We're going to take the first half under. There are 27s out there. I saw a couple rogue 27.5s. If you can find the 27.5, do it. But I'm going under 27 here on the show for my best bet, Florida, Oregon State.
Marco just stays copying plays. It's been a while since I've accused you guys of stealing my plays, but now you're stealing Joe's plays?
Do
you want me to pull up the timestamp?
Marco, just because Marco logs into Slack first doesn't mean anything, okay, Marco? I just want you to know that. Joe Raineri, I know there's not a ton of bowl games for this first week that are really eye-catching or exciting, but I know you've got a best bet for us. Give it to me.
I do, and I'm going to go to L.A., Cal, and I'm going to go with the L.A. Bowl where Fresno State is going to be taking on Washington State, and you could not have a game in which we've got two teams really heading in different directions. Listen, Fresno State had a rough go of it to start. Jay Kaner came back. There were high expectations. Didn't go great for him and Coach Jet Tedford early on in the season. Then he got hurt. But then he came back, and they managed to hold the fort down, not only while he was out, but when he came back, this was a different team. We're talking about 8 straight wins to end the season, including a Mountain West championship. They are 6-2 against the number during that stretch. And then we have a Washington State team that has been all over the map. But we do know they're not going to be they're going to be without their top 3 wide receivers on this team for either injury or opt-out purposes. So some of their best skill position people aren't going to be here. Not to mention we just watched Penix Jr. in Washington light this defense up for over 700 yards in this one. It has not been a great run of bowl games for Washington State. I don't see how that won't continue here. I think the better team, I have the better quarterback, and I've got the much better and enthused group who doesn't have to worry about opt-outs and who's playing, who's not. Everybody's playing. So this team that rattled off 8 wins to end the year, I think they're going to end it off with the 9th win with Jay Kaner at quarterback. It's 3, and I got no problem laying it here with Fresno State in this one.
I also lean just slightly towards the Bulldogs. All right, we're going to take our last commercial break, and then we have to recap. I'm not sure what.
Do you want to bet this college football bowl season alongside Dave Koken and Ralph Michaels? Well, we have you covered. When you look among the list of our handicappers, some are known more for specific sports, and when you mention college football, two that jump out are Dave Koken and Ralph Michaels. Mr. Dave Koken has been the all-time profit leader in college football since he joined Wager Talk, and while the regular seasons have been profitable, his performance in the bowls have been even better, going 45-22-1. That's 67%. Ralph Michaels was a previous general manager of Phil Steele Publications, voting on all significant college football awards, including the Heisman Trophy, before joining Wager Talk. Ralph's run and bowl action has been stellar, going 44-20. That's 69%. Our bowl package price will be $199 with the $149 early bird. You can lock in Dave and Ralph's both for only $198, coming out to just $99 each. That's Dave's 68% and Ralph's 69% bowl records, including any 5% best bets released in bowl season for just $198. Access will cover any college football releases from the Bahama Bowl on Friday, December 16th, through the College Football Playoff National Championship game on Monday, January 9th, from both Ralph Michaels and Dave Koken, and include any 5% best bets. So act fast before pricing goes back to regular price.
I literally asked Marco, why do I need to recap? This was the shortest college football show ever. And he said, Kelly, for all the jackasses that scroll to the end, they need the recap graphic. Fenway Bowl under 40 for Joe Raineri. Marco said he leans towards Louisville -1.5, and I said no way. Take the Bearcats. Maybe not in real life, but if you're in a bowl pick'em such as myself, you may be stuck picking every single game on the board. Las Vegas Bowl. Marco said he leans towards the Beavs -10. Joe said Florida. If you like them, take them in the first half. We're going to see a lot of running in a low-scoring affair, because that's what Marco likes as his best bet. First half under in the Las Vegas Bowl, under 27 to be exact. And Joe Raineri, his best bet, the Bulldogs of Fresno State -3. Thank you guys for hanging out with us on the bowl edition, for the college football edition of Bet On It, however you would say that. We're going to be back next week. We're going to still be talking some bowls, because there's got to be more exciting ones than this week. From Marco, Joe Raineri, and Ralph Michaels. Until next time, let's bet on it.